Are you feeling undercompensated and underappreciated? If you are, you're in the right place. Today, I am going to give you a 5-point plan on the correct way to ask for a raise. So grab a notepad and hit that like button. Today's going to be a good one. My name is Darren DeLuca, and in nearly 2 decades of recruiting experience, I've seen it all. Now I'm coming to YouTube to bring you the straight scoop. This is the Ramblin' Recruiter. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Darren DeLuca here, and I am the Ramblin' Recruiter. I've been in recruiting and talent acquisition for almost 2 decades, and I'm here to give you the straight scoop on everything related to the world of work. So today, we're talking about raises. There are countless wrong ways to ask for a raise, but there's really only one correct one. In today's video, I'm going to give you a 5-point plan to ask for a raise the right way. If you follow these steps, you stand a very good chance of success, but I want to be clear with you on one thing. Nobody can guarantee you success when it comes to asking for a raise. Increases in salary outside of the normal compensation planning cycle are very difficult to get. And even if you follow these steps and you have great arguments to back it up, there's still a chance that the answer may still be no. In that case, it makes good sense to have a backup plan, which I will talk about more. In the meantime, go ahead and subscribe, and please hit that bell if you want to make sure you never miss another video coming out. Comment below with your questions and the topics that you might like to see covered in future videos. Asking for a raise is uncomfortable for most people. It's one piece of a much larger topic: negotiation. Negotiation skills will make an enormous difference to you in your career. I don't care if you're the janitor, a sales rep, or the CEO. You get better at negotiation, your career will improve. Now, if you're interested in learning more about negotiation, I highly recommend the book Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. Chris is a former FBI hostage negotiator. His techniques would sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves. I put a link to it below in the description. Definitely check it out. It is an amazing read. So point number 1, schedule a specific time to have this conversation with your boss. Don't expect that you're just going to corner your boss on your way to the coffee machine and have a conversation about a raise, okay? Compensation discussions should take place in private. They should be scheduled, and you want to make sure that both you and your boss have ample time to prepare and get ready for this kind of a conversation. But really importantly, don't tip your hand early, okay? Using Outlook or whatever calendar program that you're using at your company, you'll want to schedule a meeting with a title, something like discuss career trajectory or discuss project accomplishments. You do not want to put on your boss's calendar, discuss my raise Tuesday at 2 p.m. All you're doing is giving him or her time to prepare why the answer should be no. Point number 2, be extremely prepared. You should be prepping for this meeting well in advance. You can't expect to wing this one and be successful. You can't expect to just walk in and say, hey boss, I'd like a raise, and expect that you're going to get one. You need to put time into preparing a couple of different things. Now, first of all, you'll want to prepare relevant salary data. Indeed.com, LinkedIn to some extent, and Salary.com will all be able to give you some relevant information that you can use to build your case. You'll want to search on both the national and the local median salary ranges for your particular position, ideally in your particular industry. The more focused you can get that information, the better. If you are in Wilmington, North Carolina, and you show up to this meeting with your boss with New York City salary data, you can't really expect to be successful or get anywhere. The more focused that data is, the better. Once you take a look at the data and you have a sense of what someone in your particular geography, in your particular type of job, in your particular industry makes, and what the median is, you can see where you fall on that curve. It would be a bell curve. What you want to find out is, do you sit on the low end, the lower 25%, the high end, the top 25%, or somewhere in the middle where most people would sit on that bell curve? If you're to the right of the midpoint, you're not really going to be able to make the argument that you're undercompensated, so you will have to rely more on your arguments about your accomplishments and the value you bring to the organization when it comes to asking for a raise. If you sit on the lower portion of that bell curve, you may be able to get a raise just by bringing the argument forward that you're undercompensated. But you should still be ready to talk about your accomplishments too and the value you bring to the organization. Point number 3, prepare your talking points and try to control the conversation. So now that you've got your salary data prepped, it's time for you to start preparing your brag book. You'll want to speak about all the various accomplishments and the big wins that you've had. You should think quantifiably, right? Dollars and cents. Accomplishments that go above and beyond your normal scope of work. I'm talking way above and beyond. If you walk into your boss's office and say, I deserve a raise because I show up to work on time every day and I do everything that you tell me to do, you're not going to be very successful at that. Those are minimum expectations of the job. That's table stakes. That's what you have to put up just to show up. What you want to talk about are the things that you've done that go way above and beyond that. An example of a story I used recently to demonstrate that kind of above and beyond thinking would sound something like this. Hey boss, I could very easily have just signed the retained search contracts and been done with it, but you know what? I put the time in. I fought hard and negotiated on the company's behalf. It's not my money, what do I care? But I was able to negotiate from 33% of total compensation to 27.5% of base salary only. That saved the company $50,000. That's somebody's salary. That's $50,000 more for the bonus pool. That's real money. That should count for something. That is a good example of an above and beyond accomplishment. Bring those types of things to the table. You'll have a much better chance of success. Point number 4, don't take no for an answer, but be prepared for the consequences of that. Now, what I mean by this is that it's quite likely that the knee-jerk reaction your boss is going to have to a request for a raise is to say an out-and-out no, or not at this time. That's okay. It's a normal human reaction. The reason being, your boss probably has to talk to somebody else about getting you a raise. Their boss, their boss's boss, a department head, a much higher level leader. You see where this is going, and raises, outside of the normal compensation cycle tend to open a can of worms. If one employee is undercompensated, do we have to look at everybody and see if everybody's undercompensated? Before you know it, it's a very expensive proposition. So don't be surprised if their knee-jerk reaction is no. If they're being evasive, they don't want to have the conversation, or they're just delaying it. Well, let's talk about this later. Get their commitment to circling back to this conversation in 3 months' time. That's not a no. That's just a no for now. Get their commitment to circle back to it later. Now, if your boss is more forceful and says, just an out-and-out no, can't be done, absolutely not, I won't even entertain this conversation, now you have to decide how strongly you want to respond to that. You might respond with something that sounds a little bit like this. Hey boss, I understand budgets are tight and this is not something that we can entertain at this point, but I want to be really transparent with you. I am 100% committed to advancing my career. Now, I'd be happy to circle back to this in 3 to 6 months' time if you think that makes sense, but I want to be very upfront with you that if an opportunity were to present itself, in between now and then, that gets me that uplift, I may be in a position to consider it. If you say something like that, that's going to be like a blast of cold water in your boss's face because you just put him or her on notice. You might be leaving the company. You're going to be labeled a flight risk. Now, you'll know exactly how much your current employer values you the minute you get that label put on you. If you start getting iced out, if meetings start taking place that you're not invited to, if, people are avoiding you in the hallways, you're in trouble and it's time to start looking for a new job immediately. If, on the other hand, suddenly rewards and recognition start coming your way, if additional projects and projects that get you additional exposure start coming your way, if suddenly the senior leadership is metaphorically putting their arms around you, you know that you're in very good shape there, and not only are you eventually going to get that raise, you're probably going to get promoted too. Point number 5, have a backup plan. A financial raise may truly not be possible at this particular point in time for any number of reasons. Number 1, internal equity could be coming into play, right? Your peers doing the same job are all making this. You can't expect that you're going to make this, okay? That just creates an inequity. It's not fair for anybody. 2, your company may really and truly be cash strapped and they just can't afford to give you a raise at this particular point. And, there's any number of other factors that could come into play as well. So if your boss, says that they would love to do it for you, they just can't, have a backup plan. Backup plans could take any number of forms, but, some examples could be, an extra week of PTO. That might be a great backup plan. A commitment to rediscussing a financial raise in a certain period of time. That could be a backup plan. Additional consideration when it comes time for bonuses or end of year compensation planning. What's my raise going to look like for next year? What's my bonus going to look like for this year? Is that something that we can take into consideration? Those are all backup plans. I personally love the idea of using an extra week of vacation time as a negotiation tool. If I can't get what I want here, then give it to me here. That's always a good feather to have in your cap. Like I said before, getting a raise is difficult. If you follow these steps, and if you follow this 5-point plan that I've given you, you stand a great chance of being successful. Now, if you decide that you deserve a raise and you want to give these techniques a try, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear if it was successful, what your experience was putting these techniques into practice. So definitely, if you try it, leave a comment below. Let me know how it goes. Well, folks, that does it for me today. Thanks for watching, and I am always appreciative of your comments, your likes, and your shares. A lot of my network is on LinkedIn, so I certainly appreciate any shares there. Comment below with any questions that you've got or any topics you'd like to see covered in future episodes, and subscribe if you want to see all the new content coming out right when it comes out. Make sure you hit that bell. If you don't hit the bell, YouTube may not notify you when I put a new video out. So thanks again for stopping by. My name is Darren DeLuca. This is the Ramblin' Recruiter, and just remember, wherever you go, there you are. See you next time.